Ladies and gents, welcome to the show. Supernatural Strength Channel, we got Ron Bath, Matt Mask, Marcio Barboza, three of the biggest hitters in the heavyweight division, period. And guys, you three are right there at the top of the roster, but there's some new guys coming in as well who are very interesting. And I wanted to start this this second part with asking you about those. One of the most interesting guys there's got to be Gennady Quickvinia, the man from Georgia. This is a guy with an enormous reputation. Some people back in Georgia believe that he could give Levan a run for his money right now. Do you think he can come into the World Armwrestling League and take over and dominate? How do you rate the Georgian?
I don't know until we see him pull. I would love to see him pull, you know, Devin, Jerry Carteret to be because he's very versatile. Mm-hmm. I never get to pull him. He was light heavyweight for a while, and he became a super heavyweight.
That's right.
I never got a chance to pull him in WAF.
He's gone up through the weight categories, but he looks huge now.
Yeah. How much is he weighing now? 130?
I don't know, but I would put him right in the upper echelons. I bet he's 130 stroke 140 kilos. Looking at his recent Facebook posts and so on, he looks like he's very ready, you know, coming in big. And as you say, it's all quality that's gone on him. This was a fella that used to walk around at the 100 kilo mark, and he certainly put some power on that frame. But I think you hit the nail on the head with one of the biggest threats that he's got to carry is the fact that he's so versatile, Marcio. I mean, he's like yourself. He pull anywhere.
Exactly. I've seen him top rolling, hooking most of the time, dead wrist, shoulder press, everything.
Where would your money be? Jerry Carteret or Gennady Quickvinia, if those two were to meet? That's got you thinking, hasn't it?
I think all those matches would be good and interesting because you don't see those pair-ups much at all, if ever. And it would be nice to see a few like him come over here and pull the likes of Jerry, Mike, or Devin. Then you could see where everybody is at a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Who matches with him best, guys? Who's the toughest match for Gennady in the World Armwrestling League?
Oh, Michael, I think all three of them would love to jump and try it.
Do you think any can beat him?
I think Michael thought it would be the hardest style for him to deal with.
Mm-hmm. Again, just because of the Kings.
Exactly. Everything
Anybody
else
beat
you'll be
him
fine.
Straight up or not?
I would say Michael Todd would be.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah, I think a logical match, in my opinion. Now that let's just say that the 601 pairing does go ahead. So Michael and Devin face each other. Surely it's gotta be Jerry that gets in first. You would think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you think it was the right match for Devin to get the shot with Mike, or would you have gone with Jerry?
I think it is.
It would have been interesting to see Jerry come back after the big ruckus that took place last year.
Yeah.
I think it'd be nice to see that one get played out again.
Regardless of the outcome between Devin and Mike.
Yeah.
I think it's nice to have, like, you have Gennady, I think, some new guys, right?
Yeah.
And then in the end, make the best of it. Whoever's like Michael and Devin right now, so Gennady and Jerry, and go from there. You know,
it's funny, isn't it, guys? Because everybody wants to bring in the really heavy hitters, okay? So the absolute elite arm wrestlers, of which I'm going to say Gennady Quickvinia is definitely one of those guys, okay? Now, you can say that we lost another one of those guys in Dave Chafee, but the difficulty with doing that, as we've seen in other weight categories, and namely the ladies class, is that if you bring in this ultra elite arm wrestlers, they don't have a massive amount of match options, or, you know, legitimate match options that people are going to get excited about. And I think Gennady Quickvinia is one of those guys that, with being right on the fringe of the absolute best in the world, it's thin air. there's not too many guys you think can give him major trouble. Or would you disagree? Do you think there's guys in there that can create problems? Can he do, is he going to struggle with a guy like Matt who brings all that leverage and speed?
I can tell you right now, I'd probably give him a hell of a day.
Yeah, I mean, you're an unusual set of criteria for damn sure. And you've had success with some very, very, very strong guys. I mean, I know you were a little bit upset about the Jerry Caderet result and you felt like you were just getting going in that one. Is that a man you'd like to face again as well, Matt?
Oh, of course I'd like to pull.
Oh, I think we may have lost you there, Matt. You dropped off or frozen up a little bit, brother.
Can you hear me?
Got you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the first 2 matches I went at it like a retard. Even Ron was there. What the hell was I doing, right? Match number 3.
Oh, frozen up again, brother.
I got half. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, got you, mate. But I think your phone's freezing to death.
Yeah, that might be shitty Wi-Fi out here in the driveway. So.
Your stunt capabilities are good though. You're hanging upside down at this point in time. It's pretty. There he is. Yeah. Back to normal. So when you look at the roster at the moment in the heavyweight division, you've got sort of tiering, haven't you? You've got your Devin, your Michael, your Jerry in one tier. And then directly below that, you've got this second tier of super exciting matchups. And I think that's an area that there's some of the best matches, in my opinion, are right in there. And I'm going to throw a couple of names out now that I really like and see what you feel about these guys. Alex Kadetcha, a guy that contacted us and is very keen to come over and pull in the World Armwrestling League. That's an exciting prospect, isn't it? Massive guy. We've seen his pedigree, seen him just come off a loss in the Eliminator for the top 8. But we're talking about a man who's 6'7", close to 400 pounds. He's strong right and left. Who wants him out of the gate?
I'd fucking take him out of the gate.
Matt's not afraid of anybody.
I'd love to be the guy to give him his first loss in WAL. So,
how do you sort of think he measures up in there, mate? Do you think he would come in and be right at the top early, or do you think he'd struggle with the format?
No, I think he'd come in. He'd definitely be shaking things up. Like most guys that come into the WL series off a WAF kind of setup, I think he's going to struggle right out of the gates a bit. I can teach him a lot of lessons that he'd need to learn throughout further opponents that he's going to have to face. Mm-hmm. So it's a huge learning curve. You can try it all you want at home, but until you actually get there into the atmosphere, it's a completely different situation, right? So
I know some people within the roster have really got that rule system dialed in. You look in the lightweight division at someone like Sam Harris, and he's always the guy that when you speak to his opponents, he say, you pull him outside of the World Armwrestling League, he may not be half as difficult to beat, but you pull him in that rule system, very, very difficult to beat. Do you think you can sort of adapt your arm wrestling around that style, and have you managed to do that, mate? Because we've seen you getting a lot of big wins. I mean, you took out Gasparini comfortably. You had a win against Marcio here, which is, again, a tremendous win. In fact, your only loss, I believe, on the last year was Todd Hutchins, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And
yeah, him, Devin, and Jerry were the only ones I've lost to. So.
Yeah, but that's over 2 seasons, isn't it?
Yeah.
What about Michael Todd? You do anything with him, Matt, do you think? Or is he a guy you don't want to be involved with?
No, I actually was looking forward to that chance I was going to get last year, to tell you the truth. Mm-hmm. I think I have a little more top end than half of the guys in the heavyweights on what you need to be able to exploit his hand. My finishing is what I'd need to work on, obviously, but I do believe I would be able to get his hand into a more vulnerable position to be able to finish him than majority of the guys. So I definitely wouldn't count myself out on that one for sure. So
Hutchins gave you some problems there. Did you learn a great deal from that match, Matt? Do you think that you made technical mistakes? Could you correct those if you pulled him again?
100%. 100%. There's been a lot of stuff I've been dealing with the last couple years. A lot of waves, tidal waves, calm water, tidal waves. I hit a huge tidal wave on my way to the airport for that match. So that's one that's been eating me ever since I pulled him. I wasn't there mentally for that one. Physically, I was in the best fucking shape of my life when I went to walk into that match. Mentally, I was probably one of the worst shapes of my life. So definitely that's one I'd love to have back. So,
what is it about Todd that makes him so tough? I mean, he's obviously remarkably powerful, but his style is ugly and yet super effective. Even against your top class, really diverse pullers, he's a guy that many people find extremely difficult to get around. Marcio, you had a razor thin loss to him. I mean, you were 2-2, ended up losing it on the last round. Just give us a breakdown for people who've never pulled somebody like Todd. What are you facing with that guy? I mean, obviously, is it just side pressure? Is there other things coming into play? Where are his strengths and where are his weaknesses?
Well, people think his hand is not strong. His hand is very strong. His wrist goes back, but you can't open his fingers basically, and he has so much side pressure. You don't see him palming up. Even if when you take his hand, he's not. It's hard to make him palm up. You know what I mean?
So he's always keeping the pronation.
Yeah, he keeps the pronation and he drives sideways, like weird.
It's almost
I don't think
like
anybody's like that.
Like, you know when you get them beginners sometimes and you grip up with them on the table and they're really strong, but all they have is just side pressure and it almost hurts because it's not like a smooth moving motion, a natural movement for arm wrestling. It's actually a dangerous movement. So when you actually have somebody do it to you, it actually feels awkward. And Hutchins, all his power is in that area that just doesn't feel right. For me, anyways, it doesn't feel right. Like
so unorthodox, yeah.
It almost feels like an amateur, but an extremely conditioned, powerful with a hand and wrist amateur. Just the angle that he pulls
in. It's funny, isn't it? You've seen guys like that come into the sport before. Case in point would be someone like Richard Lutkus, who was, again, not necessarily overly technical, but unbelievably effective. So much power to the side. I mean, with Richard, you had that mass as well, the just enormity of the guy. But would you say that Toddzilla is probably pound for pound the strongest arm wrestler in North America? Do you think he's got more top end than anyone else?
I would say for straight side pressure, absolutely. Pound for pound by far. I couldn't think of anybody else that is stronger at that weight.
What about Jerry Caderet? Do you think he can beat him?
Do I think Todd can beat Jerry?
Yeah, because he was close on a couple of pins there, and I know that's a match that Toddzilla wants again.
I think Jerry's side pressure, Hutchins' side pressure is retarded, but he doesn't know how to press. You need to be able to finish. I personally believe you need to be able to finish Jerry in a press. He had Jerry in a position where all he had to do was literally stand up and press him down, and he would have taken it easily, and he wasn't able to transition into that position. I probably got one of the worst presses in the fucking country, and when I was able to get Jerry into that position, I was able to press him, and my press is weak. So,
but you got a lot of height, Matt. So you were able to sort of gain that arc and climb over the top of Jerry, where to some extent Todd isn't able to do that. He's got a pretty short arm, hasn't he?
Well, he just had to roll. All he had to do was just roll over. Like, he had his hand, his wrist, everything compromised. Jerry was palm up to the sky with his hand outside of his shoulder. All Todd had to do was just stand up. Same thing with when he was pulling Devin. All he had to do was stand up and jump on his arm, and he would have been able to finish Devin.
Yep. I agree with that.
Do you think that the first match with Devon was a pin?
I think it was about as close as it gets. It was about as close as that second match I had with Todd Hutchins.
To every fourth, there's an equal and opposite force. Yeah, sliding that one straight in there.
Yeah,
you've been sort of getting under the skin of another borderline middleweight who could transition to heavy as well, Matt. Obviously, in Rob Vigent Jr. That's another guy. There's been a little bit of chat around on social media.
He likes to chat, doesn't he? Hey?
Yeah, you lit the fuse under that one. Absolutely lit the fuse. Do you think he could be a threat to you? I mean, we know how strong he is, and he's got the weaponry.
I think he's a threat to anybody. I personally love RVJ as a person, as an arm wrestler. His technical abilities are phenomenal. I heard about it. I figured I'd poke the bear a little bit. I sent him a personal message afterwards. Hey, buddy, no hard feelings. I just figured I'd pipe it up. But then I went and I checked. I seen some posts. And I realized he actually did take it to heart. So, it was kind of comical, actually. And I apologize. He never did reply to me. So I think he's still a little butthurt over that. But if he ever did want to, after he's done with the Hall, when the season ever does get going, I'd be obliged to introduce him to the heavyweight class. So,
do you think
it's easier for me to jump down to his class than it is for him to come up to mine? So,
yeah, I think you'd have to lose a leg, mate, to get down to the class. You're not carrying a lot of body weight.
I'm about 20 pounds away from that class.
Yeah, which is not doable. You're not going to drop that kind of weight. But let me ask you something. If he was slightly bigger, could he do? Do you think we'd see a similar thing from him that we've seen from Hutchins? Do you think he could come up and ruffle a lot of feathers in the heavyweight class?
He would have to put the weight on, ruffle it up.
I think him with another 15, 20 pounds, absolutely, he'd be able to. So I think he wouldn't be any lighter than a Krasmir or Hutchins. Hutchins was when he pulled me, but previous to that, he was 240-ish.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, there's a lot of chat at the moment around whether or not he could go in with the Eastern European big hitters. Whether he could get over there and pull Sasho, whether he could pull the Rustam Babeyevs of this world, Hadji Zolevs. How good is Rob? Is he that good in your opinion? Do you think he could do that?
I think he has the opportunity to bang with any of them guys, to tell the truth. Like, Rob has so many tools. Like, Rob is blessed with a massive hand. Rob has the hand of a super heavyweight. He has the bicep of a super heavyweight. So it wouldn't take Rob much to be able to bang, I think, with us or any of the other guys in them other countries, to tell you the truth, because he has the tools. Mm-hmm. So a little more size behind him, absolutely. Is for technical, like, Rob can pull anywhere. The biggest thing that defeats Rob is himself. If Rob is off of his game mentally in any way, you can see it. And when he's not focused and he's slightly frustrated, that's when he gets clustered. If he comes in with a clear mind and a game plan and sticks to it, Rob is a force in any weight class, I believe. So.
Marcio, you've had some pretty up close and personal experience with Rob when he's firing. You guys came into the Arm Wars match where you drew 3-3, and that was, I don't think that could have gone anywhere else on the table. It was pretty much in every single position known to man. How do you rate his chances, mate? If he was to, I mean, let's get it out on the table. Is he standalone in the middleweight division? Is there anybody in there that could give Rob problems, or do you think he's just going to go on chewing people up?
Look, honestly, to be honest, I cannot take the match we have like a real test just because I was coming back from the surgery. It was my first time pulling, so I'm not sure. It took me a long time to be back confident. So I was good for a couple matches, then it was over. But of course, he has the tools. He's born for arm wrestling. He's like they said, he can put a few pounds, like 15 pounds, let's say, and maybe become successful. However, if you're talking about middleweights, like 200-pound guys, if you're talking about worldwide, there's a lot of threats for him. Middleweight, you know, in Europe, middleweight is crazy. Like anybody between 90 kilos to 100 kilos, there's a lot of good, bad guys there.
Yeah, there really is. What about the guys that are currently on the roster, mate? Is there anybody that you see within the World Arm Wrestling League now that you think could give Rob a run, or not?
At that weight, 205,
Yeah.
I don't think so. You got to bring somebody from overseas.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I see it.
Who's the most logical guy to face him next up?
Well, I would love to see what's the Turkish guy name? You remember the Turkish guy that won the?
Okay, yeah, you're looking out. But what about within the World Arm Wrestling League roster now?
Right now, I don't know. I don't think anybody. It's at that 205-pound. I don't see anybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talked about it earlier. It's hard when you get that dominant champion to sort of find them a lot of matches, and it's becoming increasingly difficult. The big call's always been that people would like to see Rob face Todd.
I'd like to see that match.
At a catchweight. If that was to go down, who wins?
I think it'll be difficult, just the way. I mean, Rob can beat Todd, but I think once you go to the straps, it's very hard to beat Todd. For Rob's style, it's gonna be hard.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because he always used to have major problems in the strap. We've seen him address that game. He's obviously better in the straps than he's ever been. It'd be the acid test if he could get a win over a man that he struggled with in the past, you know, within a World Arm Wrestling League. And I know there's a lot of needle and bad blood between those two. Do you think that Rob is just not strong enough? Is that the issue in the strap for him? Or do you think it's that it takes him out of his game?
I think that Todd Hutchins is more durable. He has more endurance for sure. And he is actually stronger, you know, to a certain degree. And
you agree with that?
Stylistic, it's, I don't know if Rob can deal with that in the straps.
What about your opinion on that, Ron? We haven't heard from you in a while there, mate. Do you think that...
I'm quiet. When it comes to most of the guys overseas, I'm quiet. I don't follow a whole lot of that. But yeah, I agree with Marcio. When you get in the straps, you don't depend on as much technicality. It's all power. And Todd, with his side pressure and endurance, I think it just takes Rob right out of his game from what I remember seeing before. But it'd be, you know, Todd would have to lose weight. But if Rob went up in weight, it might be a different story. But I think in the straps, Todd would dominate.
Now, I'm conscious I've had you on here for a long time, guys, but I want to ask one thing before I let you go, because we can't go without talking about the resurgence and the return of John Brzezinski. Obviously, John coming back into the sport. He's going to start some dude originally from Utah. Now he's knocking around Arizona.
I thought he was a pilot.
Do you think he can come back in and dominate, guys? Do you think John's able to do that?
It's a lot of John's going to depend upon his shoulder and his health. If John's shoulder doesn't bother him as bad and the pain stays down, I pulled around with him out there in Utah about a year ago. Yeah, John's pretty strong. And I pulled with him here in the States. He was here a couple months back. Yeah, John's got the power and the hand strength yet. He's still there.
So you've actually pulled him quite recently, Ron.
Yeah. He hasn't lost a whole lot of power, but you can just hear the damage and stuff. He's got a lot of issues in his shoulder and stuff. But if he's got it taken care of and it's healthy and he stays healthy, yeah, he'll do well in that top 8.
If you had $100 in your pocket, mate, and you were betting,
I'd put it on John.
What about yourself, Marcio? You think he can do it?
Yeah, like Ron was saying, like I'm not sure about his shoulder. Those guys, he got some heavy hitters there. Yeah, Garbayev is very fast, and if the match stops, he can hang forever. Rustam Babayev, people are not talking too much about him, but he's gonna be very, very strong over there. He's very explosive. One thing that John doesn't have is speed, so he's gonna have to rely on that hand strength and wrist, and get guys out of position before they go. So I'm not sure how well he's gonna do, because I mean, if I go by what Ron said, I think he'll be ready. How ready? I'm not sure. I don't know. It's gonna be in the air. We need to see the first round and see how far he can go. If he wins the first one, then you can, depends on how he wins, you can see where he's at.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it, now, because with COVID-19 closing everybody down, for sure he's got a lot longer time to rest, to recoup, and to he doesn't have to push the training sessions as hard. He can take his time and build himself back up. And whenever it goes down, I know that is going to be a hot ticket. Everybody wants to see that one. I personally would like to see John come over to the World Armwrestling League. I think there's so many matches there that would be great for him. Obviously, his old nemesis in Hutchins, a guy that he trained with. I think Gasparini and John would again be another absolutely fantastic match. I think because of the issues that you spoke about there, Marcio, with John lacking that little bit of speed, but he's got the top end power. That could be an absolutely ferocious battle. And I've got to be honest, I'd like to see him pull Rob Vigent Jr.
I think you have the edge in that. I mean, just because of John's hand and wrist are remarkable. I mean, if it's the same way, I could never hook him like the way I wanted to. Mm-hmm. He pinned me in a hook before, but we never were really wrist to wrist. He keeps you away with that pronation. He's very, very technical. His hand strength is amazing.
Yeah, I think it's second to none, without a doubt. And what a fairy story that would be for the sport if that man could come back in and recapture former greatness. If he could get back to the top of the mountain, then come over and maybe unite things in the World Arm Wrestling League. I mean, not that he needs to prove anything else, but my God, that would be the absolute icing on the cake, wouldn't it, in an incredible career.
I definitely want him to win, and definitely, cheer for him. Go US.
Ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. We're going to let these guys get off here. Obviously, it's late over here on a Sunday night. We're going to let these guys enjoy the rest of their weekend as well. Fellas, thank you very much for taking the time out and tuning in. I want on a personal note to wish you and your families all the very best. I hope you stay safe, happy and healthy through ridiculous, crazy times we've got at the moment, guys.
Yep.
What a time to be alive, eh?
Yeah. Isn't it just? Take it easy, guys. All the best. And everybody watching, if you like what we do, please remember, like it, share it, subscribe, and we will see you again very soon. Fellas, later.
Peace out.
All right, see you later, guys.